You gonna read them?
You want me to?
Yeah.
You gotta wait till the end, though. Maybe too rough in the middle.
That's cool.
You
ready?
Joke. That's a real everyday thing. Yo. Is that?
Yeah, sorry, start. Mm-hmm.
But that man.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ما بعد. So last week we stopped and we finished the arkan, the pillars of the contract. The pillars of the contract. And firstly, next week everybody needs the book, The Path of the Wayfarer. Next week we're going to start from The Path of the Wayfarer. So if you don't have it, you want to try to have it by next week. Either copy is fine, inshallah. But we're going to start Path of the Wayfarer next week. So we finished the pillars of the marriage contract last week, which were, there's nothing prohibiting the man or the woman, from being married, and the offer and the acceptance that the wali offers the woman in marriage and the man accepts. And tonight, inshallah, we're going to do the conditions, shurut al-nikah, shurut al-aqd, shurutuhu, the conditions of the contract. So we did the pillars, and now we're doing the conditions of the contract. Tayyib. Let me make a disclaimer real quick that if we don't know, the majority of the issues that we have in marriages as a community are pretty much the same issues. Meaning most people are dealing with the same type of issue. A lot of times we think we're the only one dealing with the issue, and there's a bunch of people going through the same thing. So I'll take it. I'm going to take the hit this class and future classes, and I'm going to tell the brothers what the sisters might be a little shy to tell the brothers. And I'm going to tell the sisters what the brothers might be a little shy to tell the sisters. For whatever reason that a person doesn't want to say it, I'll say it. Okay? So it doesn't necessitate that because I say something is my personal opinion, y'all. All right? Especially, we need to understand this is a community thing. Okay? Most people have issues in the same areas. Okay? So I'll take it. I'll be the bad guy, and I'll say what some people might be a little shy to say, or they don't really want to say it. But it needs to be said so we can understand how to approach things maybe in a better way. To try to fix some of the issues we're dealing with. So nobody take it personal if you hear something that it might refer to you. Like it might be your situation, and it might not be. But if it refers, if it's your situation, if the shoe fits, then wear it. And if it don't, it's just a benefit. But the point is, it's a lot of people dealing with the same issues. طيب. So the Musannif rahimahullah says, وَشُرُوطُهُ أَرْبَعٌ وَشُرُوطُهُ أَرْبَعَةٌ. The first condition, and there's 4 conditions. First, we got to understand what a condition is. A condition is a part of the contract. If one condition is missing, then the contract is not valid. It's not a valid contract. And if something is not valid, that means it has to be done over. Or as we say, that doesn't count. You got to do it again. Okay? So if something's missing in the marriage contract from the conditions, or even from the pillars that we did last week, if something is missing, then the contract does not count. That means whoever it was getting married will have to do the whole thing over again. Okay? That means they're not married. That's what not valid means. Clear? Not valid means you got to do it over again. They don't count. There's 4 conditions. The first condition, ta'yin az-zawjayn. Ta'yin az-zawjayn. The first thing that has to be done for the marriage contract to be valid is that during the contract, the man and the woman being married they have to be specified. You got to be specific on who's marrying who. How does that look? A man, for example, he's the wali and he has 3 or 4 daughters, or even if he has 2 daughters, and he says to the to be husband, he just says, I marry you to my daughter. I marry you to my daughter. Okay. In this case, what's the problem? He got 2 daughters. So who is he married? Which daughter is he married to? That's not being specific. That's not enough for the contract to be valid. Everybody clear? If he has 2 daughters, 3 daughters, 4 daughters, okay, he has to specify which daughter he is marrying the man to. So if her name is Khadija, he says to him, I marry you to Khadija. And then the man accepts. Okay? Is that clear? Now, it could be because this issue comes up. And this is why, if we don't know, this is one of the reasons why when people get married and people ask you for your first and last name, and we act like we just, we don't want nobody to know our names. We just top secret about everything. What you mean, like my government or my attribute? What do people know you by? You got witnesses here. If I call you by a name and nobody here knows you by that name, what benefit is it to them witnessing it? Right? Whatever people know you by, and if they know you by 2 names and they come in to watch you get married, you need to give the person over you marrying so everybody know who's being married to who. Everybody clear? So your last name is just to be more specific. What if there's more than one person in the room, there's more than one sister in the room named Khadija? Which Khadija are you marrying him to? Because sometimes the sister might not be sitting there in front of, right? She might not be there. Question, does the sister need to be there, y'all? Does the sister have to be there for the contract to be valid or not? Sisters? Huh? Why not? You gotta use the mics. Y'all did like a group no. But then so you need the mic. But now the why, we need to hear specifically why doesn't the woman have to be there during the marriage contract? You gotta use the mic.
The wali speaks on her
Gotta use the
behalf.
mic. It's like somebody take it upon themselves. Huh? What?
The wali speaks on behalf
The wali speaks on behalf of what?
of the sister that's getting married.
Of the sister that's sitting there. Therefore, the sister doesn't have to be there. Can she be there, sister? She can be there. Should she be there? It's a preference. But the wali is speaking, the man, the guardian. Everybody should take out your phone and look up the word guardian so that we know. Because once we get to a wali, that's always an issue for us. You need to know what is a guardian. All right. So even if it's 2 sisters in a room, named with the same name, it's better, it's more specific. If she has a kunya, use her kunya. If she goes by such and such, use that along with her name. Because it's possible, y'all. It's people there who don't know her by that name. Some people are only known by their kunya, Abu such and such. And people don't know the brother's real name, right? And then there are other people sitting there who don't know the brother's kunya, and they only know his real name. So some people know him as Abu Ahmed, and some people don't know that his name is Abu Ahmed. They just know his name is Kareem, or whatever his name is, right? So you say Abu Ahmed, I marry Abu Ahmed is the man getting married, and the man come to witness the marriage. They say, who's Abu Ahmed? They say, I thought Naeem, or I thought Khalif, or I thought this brother was getting married. I thought this was the marriage for brother Khalif. Who's Abu Ahmed? You got to use names that people are familiar with so that everybody's clear who's getting married. Is that clear? That's part of being specific about the 2 parties being married, the man and the woman. If the people there, say for example, if a lot of the people there, well, before I go there, question y'all, are non-Muslims allowed to look and come and watch a Muslim marriage be performed? Huh? Why not? I don't know. Some people say some people think that because they're not Muslim, they can't see it. They can't like do anything. They have to stay away until it's done, and then you can just tell them. Some people think that, right? So now let's say we all got non-Muslim family members. A bunch of your family members come to the wedding, right? Your family members know you by the name you grew up with. Tasha, right? Whatever her name is, Keisha, whatever your name was that they gave you, that you went through your whole life with them, and they call you by that name. And then you come here and they call you by your kunya. They call you Ahmed. They don't know who that is. You need to be specific. It's better to be specific so that everybody's clear. Tayyib? That's the first condition. Tayyib. The second condition, وَرِضَاهُمَا, that both the man getting married is not forced to be married, and the woman getting married is not forced to be married. Clear? That she is not being forced to marry this brother. Clear? And the brother is not being forced to marry the woman. If this is a condition, y'all, what happens if she's forced to marry him? According to what a condition is. If this is a condition, if they both have to be pleased, it's a condition that the man is pleased with the woman he's about to marry, nobody's forcing him, and that she's pleased with him, and nobody's forcing her. So what if somebody does force her? Then it's not valid. And if it's not valid, what does that mean? They have to redo what? The whole contract, which ultimately equals what? That they're not married. Everybody clear? You with me, Sheikh? Tayyib. Clear, sisters? Tayyib. This is the asl. The asl is that no one is forced to marry another person. Clear? Tayyib. There are exceptions to that. And it makes sense. Say, for example, there's a mentally challenged person and they want to get married, right? Then the wali might marry his daughter off, right? Who's mentally challenged without her being pleased, without her permission. Everybody make it clear? Why? Why is that okay? Or a boy mentally challenged, and it might marry him off to a woman, to a sister that he didn't give him the okay for. Why would that be okay? Okay, I mean more. No, you're memnun, ya shit. That's minasaf. Why would it be okay, y'all? Take a wild guess.
Beneficial to the person?
Huh?
Might be more beneficial to the person?
To the one being married?
One that's mentally challenged. The marriage might be beneficial to them.
If we say that a condition is that the man and the woman both have to be pleased with the person they marry. And then they make an exception. They say, except if they like mentally disabled or something like that, then they say he can go in and marry him without their permission. Why? Stop, man. Hold on. Sisters, anybody? Huh? Because what does that mean, though? If the pen is lifted, what does that mean? Yes, they don't have the ability to make the proper decision regarding a wife. Is that clear, y'all? Therefore, the wali marries off the girl, right, without her permission. Okay, what's the rule? The rule is that nobody can be forced to be married, right? The exception is, there's exceptions. The origin is that no one is forced to be married. From the conditions of the marriage contract is that the man is not forced and the woman is not forced into a marriage. Clear? There are exceptions, but we do not live by the exception, y'all. We got a problem with that, and not just in the kitab, not in the book of marriage. We have a problem with that, like Islamically. In Islam, a lot of us live Islam by exceptions and not by the rule. And therefore, we make things difficult on ourselves because we don't know the original rule. Clear? Everybody with me? Like, for example, the original rule is that, is it permissible to eat pork? Yes or no? Sisters, is it allowed to eat pork? Can Muslims eat pork? No. Okay. Is there ever a time when Islam allows a Muslim to eat pork? Okay. That time, that exception, right? That specific time is not what we live by. So Muslims don't go around saying, yeah, Muslims can eat pork. We don't go around saying. We say the rule. Muslims are not allowed to eat pork. Even though we have an exception where we are allowed to eat pork. A person's on the verge of death. There's nothing else, and this is the only thing that they can eat to sustain, to keep themselves alive. Just because we can eat pork in that situation doesn't mean we go around saying Muslims can eat pork. All right. So we have to live by the rule. All right. The rule is that pork is haram. It's not allowed to eat. The rule is that from the conditions of nikah, the marriage contract, nobody can be forced to marry another woman. Clear? Tayyib. That's 2. Number 3. He says, wal wali. Wal wali. And this is an issue that we got to understand. We have to understand what a wali is. So I want to ask the brothers, what is a wali, brothers? Anybody? Huh? Jade. The man who handles the affairs of, could be a sister, or could be whoever the woman that wants to get married. Cool. Jade. Anybody else? A wali. Huh? What's a wali?
That's it. A guardian.
A guardian. Cool. What does that mean? This sisters, y'all next, all right? We got handle the affairs of the sister who wants to get married. That's a wali. And the guardian. Okay, cool. Sisters, what is a wali? Come on, y'all. Nobody over there is married or trying to get married? What's a wali? Oh, it's a wakil to them? Tell you, what's a wakil? What's a wali, y'all? Nobody knows what a wali is? I know what they know. What does the man owe you when you get married? Food, clothing, shelter. Maintenance. Tell you. The wali, he said he handles the affairs of the woman getting married. What does that mean? What does it mean that you handle the affairs of somebody? Because these are definitions. That kind of definition is passed around. So a person comes here and they say, who handles the affairs of the sisters here? Right? And the assumption is he's the wali. Well, what does it mean that a wali is supposed to do? What does handle the affairs? Make sure the man can provide. That means he has to have what? A job, some type of job. Okay. What else is the wali supposed to do?
It's all of the above. It's not going to be one, 2, 3 situation.
What you mean?
Your sister, your daughter, you're not going to just say, oh, you got a job and go ahead and marry her. It's going to be
Yeah, what else?
a checklist.
What's the checklist? Check his account balance. All right, what else? Huh?
The number one thing you got to check to me is the family.
Check the family. You want to meet the family. This is what a wali's supposed to be doing, sister. These are men talking. Men that have daughters, that if you want to marry a man's daughter, this is the kind of stuff men want to know. So Sheikh said, you can't speed a wali because you're trying to marry the brother real quick. And if you're trying to marry him real quick, then the wali needs to do his job. So it's a two-way street. Sisters trying to get married real quick, right? If they try to get married real quick, that's going to be a problem because either one or two things happen. Either she gets impatient and say that the wali is doing too much, or the wali cracks because they start talking. We just want to make it halal. We don't want to fall into anything. Well, the wali has a job to do. His job is to make sure you straight. His job is to make sure that the person you talking about marrying, that you head over heels about, that you really think he that, his job is to make sure that he really is what you think he is. Not just what he told you and what you saw from afar and what The word you got. The job of a wali is to make sure that the man is the best option for you, for the woman. That's his job. Everybody clear? Is that clear, sisters? We're not talking about a wakil, because everybody, I don't know why people keep saying wakil. Every sister gets married with a wali. Okay? Now, whoever that wali is, he has to meet certain conditions for him even to be a wali. Okay? For the man to even be a wali, he has to meet a certain criteria, certain conditions, or he can't be a wali. Not just he can't be your wali, he can't be a wali for anybody. All right. It says, now, this is condition number what, y'all? 3. Inside of condition number 3, which is the condition of the guardian, right? The guardian. What does guardian mean in English? The condition of the... Yeah, look it up. Fella. A protector? Good. That's good. A protector. Huh? Good. It says a defender, a protector. Huh. MashaAllah. A person who looks after and is legally responsible for someone who is unable to manage their own affairs. Tayyib. Especially an incompetent or disabled person or a child whose parents have died. A guardian, right? A wali. He serves as a defender, a protector for the woman. You can't rush him to do his job because you're trying to get married real quick. It ain't gonna work. And usually, y'all, it doesn't work. Usually people come right back and it doesn't work. Okay? It's a job. The wali has conditions for this man. Can this man be a wali for any woman? The conditions. The first condition, rahmakallah, it says taklif. Taklif. That the person is Islamically responsible. What does it mean that a person is Islamically responsible? Anybody? How do we know when a person is Islamically responsible for their actions? Huh? They're of age. What does that mean? What is of age?
So, like when you was puberty, you were responsible for your own.
J. So that the boy has reached the age of puberty first, at least. He has to at least reach the age of puberty. You can't have your 10-year-old just because you're trying to get married and none of the masters, ain't nobody gonna marry you. You can't have your 10-year-old marry you off. And he hasn't reached the age of puberty. Clear? It's the first condition. The first condition of the wali has 2. It's a 2 parts. Number 1, he has to be at the age of puberty. And number 2, what's the second condition? Second condition? Huh? It's not clear. Taklif. We talking about only how do we know a person is responsible for their actions in Islam? That they reach the age of puberty and they have a sound mind, right? They have a sound state of mind. Everybody clear? That means that a person is now held responsible for their actions. Clear? So if a person has not reached the age of puberty, that means they're not responsible. They're not, like, when they do things, it's not punishable. That's why if a 7-year-old or a 10-year-old child doesn't pray, they haven't reached the age of puberty, and they doesn't pray, it's not like they're deserving of Allah's punishment. Why? Because they haven't reached the age of puberty. Or the 30-year-old who doesn't have a sound mind and they don't pray, right? They're not deserving of Allah's punishment. Why? Because it's like we say, the pen's been lifted. Right? They're not responsible. They're not held responsible for their actions. Or they're not held, yeah, we can leave it like that, inshallah. Clear? That's the first condition for the wali, that they have to have a 2-part. They have to have a right sane state of mind, and they have to reach the age of puberty. The second condition for the wali, he says, وَذُكُورَ, that the wali is a man, a male, meaning a woman does not serve as a wali. A woman does not serve as a wali. Clear? You can't go grab a sister to marry you off real quick. And when it comes to marriage, y'all, we shouldn't even be using the words. When it comes to marriage, sisters, when it comes to marriage, brothers, we shouldn't be using the words real quick. People come in here. Our brother came in here after Isha. This is when Isha was in the summer. So you know Isha like 10:15, 10:20. We done prayed Isha. We prayed Isha. It's like 10:30. We talked, we busted. We walking out the door. It's like 10:45. A brother comes to the door. I never seen this brother in my day in my life. Comes to the door. Assalamu alaikum. Yeah. Alhamdulillah. Yeah, my father. Listen, I got the sister in the car. You think you can marry us real quick? I said, shit, you can't. No disrespect to you or the sister in the car. But we don't do nothing real quick around here. No, we don't do that. Real quick, it's gonna be a problem. If you're moving real quick, it's gonna be a problem. Tayyib. So the second condition is that it has to be a male. A male serves as the wali. I don't know if the sisters know this, but I'll say it because I told y'all I'm taking a hit for the brothers. They might not want to say it, and I'll say what the sisters got to say. Sisters, y'all asking questions to men, and y'all not asking men questions, which is fine. Y'all not men, so y'all ask questions that a female would ask a man, which is cool. And a man knows how to answer a question coming from a female. So he know what to give you to keep you on ice. You know what I'm saying? To keep you there. The wali, the man is going to come ask a man a different type of question. If you don't allow your wali to ask those men questions, you're going to catch a bad one, as we say. You're going to come up short. Men ask different types of questions. That's just how it go. All right? And if you're in a rush, he taking too long, he doing the most, all the stuff that people say on the internet. You want to use all that stuff and just hurry up and then almost, which she really can't do, y'all, for real. She can't force you to marry her to nobody. She can't force you, wali. Whoever's the wali, she can't force you to marry her off. Right? But what really happens is the woman ends up putting the press on the brother, on the wali, and he cracks and he just marries him off. Oh, they said it was good. Anyone falling in haram. They said I was standing in their way. And the man just says, well, I just married him off, man. I tried to get it off my hands. When you do that, it's going to be a problem. You must believe more than likely, 90% of the time, it's a problem when they do that. Tayyib, you gotta let the wali do his job. Tayyib. So the second condition is that the wali is a male. How many conditions do we really got so far? Do we really have? I'm sorry. Huh? So far? Three. What are they? Sound mind, puberty, which is taklif. They come under the first one. And then the second one is a male. And in reality, if you break them all up, it's three. Tayyib. But text-wise, that's number two. Tayyib. Number three, we don't have an issue with this. Hurriya, which is that a person is a free person, that they're not a slave. Tayyib. Number four, let's just say that a person met all of the previous qualities, right? Because this is important. A boy, maybe it's her son, he's 16, or he's 15, or he's 14. He reached the age of puberty. So she says, what? He's reached the age of puberty, he can be my wali. Right? But here's another condition. It says, rushdun. Rushd, meaning that the person who's the wali understands the benefit of the marriage contract, understands how to look and judge a man. He's reached a level mentally to be able to decipher, oh, this guy's he's not going to be any good. This guy has this flaw. He has this as a man, right? Is it likely, y'all, that a 14-year-old is going to be able to do that? No. Therefore, he doesn't meet the requirements to be a wali, even if he's a male. He's free. He's reached the age of puberty. He has a sanity. He doesn't have rushd in the nikah. What a nikah? What's the benefit of a marriage? What is a man supposed to do? What's his responsibility? If he can't do that, then he should not be a wali, even if he meets the other requirement, even if he's 16, right? 17, he has to have the intellect to be able to deal within a marriage contract. It doesn't mean in another situation he wouldn't be good. It doesn't mean you couldn't send him to the store with like $100 and tell him to buy something and he bring your change back, right? He might be able to do that properly. If you had him do that, he's good. Okay, with that contract, because buying and selling is a contract. So when you send him to the store with money, that's a contract. You make him a wakil. He goes buy you something, he bring you something back. He's good in that arena, right? He can do that. But that same 16-year-old is no good in the arena of marriage. Everybody clear? Therefore, he doesn't meet the requirements to be a wali. Clear? Even if he met the other conditions. He was of age and all of that. Everybody clear? Tayyib. Number 5. Wattithaq ad-din. That the wali has to be a Muslim. The wali has to be a Muslim. Tayyib. Now, for most of us, many of us don't have Muslim parents, right? Many of us don't have Muslim parents. So the fact that our parents or the father may not be Muslim, the fact that your father may not be a Muslim man. Sisters, this for y'all. I hope y'all listening. Somebody get the mic now. Don't pass it around. Somebody got to answer this. The fact that your father is not a Muslim, do you think you should let your father know that you're about to get married? Huh? There's 2 people over there? Then the first question was like 10 people, it sounded like. Now it's getting the mic over there. Yes? Okay. So your father should know. What about your brother? Your brother that's not Muslim. Should you tell those people you're getting married they're not Muslims? Y'all understand what happens when you don't tell them? Huh? What happens when you don't tell the men in your family you're getting married? That means the man that comes to sit down with you, he doesn't see any men in your corner. He sees no men backing you. You the lone wolf out there, or what is the lone sheep? You out there on your own. And if the dude that you about to marry, if he not right, he gonna take advantage of you. Easy. That's the benefit of the wali, and that's the benefit of males, even though they're not Muslims. We didn't say they were going to be the witnesses for the marriage. We didn't say they were married. We didn't say none of that. Should they know you're getting married? At the least, they should know that their daughter's getting married, their brother, their sister getting married. What's the because I'm saying this because sisters do this. It was a sister, she told her mother wasn't Muslim. She ready to get married. Her mother said, I want to meet the brother. Allah Mustaan. The sister didn't know. She's new Shahada. Allah excuse her. She said to her mother, you can't meet him. You're a kafir. So the question is, Islamically, what prevents a non-Muslim from meeting the man that you get ready to marry? What's the prohibition Islamically? What stops us Islamically from introducing our non-Muslim parents or family members to the person you get ready to marry? That's the question, y'all. Do we have anything Islamically to say my non-Muslim mother cannot meet the man I'm getting ready to marry? There's no prohibition in Islam. There's nothing stopping your non-Muslim father from meeting the man you get ready to marry. We didn't say he's going to serve as your wali. But should the man, you got to have sisters, you got to have men in your corner. If a man, and he's not right, if his heart is not right, and he's trying to do things that are not Islamic and his approach is not righteous, and he don't see men in your corner, as we used to say, it's the easy Vic. He's going to take advantage of you. And sisters don't seem to understand that. Even if they're not Muslim, it doesn't mean that your family that's not Muslim should not know what's going on. Islamically, there's nothing prohibiting us from letting our non-Muslim family members know what's going on when it comes to marriage contracts. Tayyib. So the wali, that male wali, has to be a Muslim, right? He has to be a Muslim of age, have sanity, right? Also have rushd. I'm not really sure how to translate that in the contract. How would you translate that? Rushd in the contract. Yeah, he understands the masalih of the marriage of marriage masalih. He understands the benefits of a marriage. He understands what is a man supposed to bring to the table. What's the job? He understands all that. And generally, kids don't understand that, y'all. And if they do, that's going to be a rare situation. Generally, a 16-year-old, our kids, 16, something more, they don't understand that. So you can't just go grab your 16-year-old just because he's a Muslim. He prays every day. It's like some of them say, we get to that in a minute. We get to that. But yeah. So that was number 5. That was number 5 in the text, but it's really how many? 6, because the first one had 2. But yeah. Number 6, it says, وَعَدَالَةٌ وَلَوْ ظَاهِرًا, and that the man who serves as the wali has a good Islamic reputation, even if it's just what you see on the surface. Even only what you see, he got a good name. Everybody knows, mashallah, he's a brother of deen, right? That's what you see. That's enough, because we don't know what people do behind closed doors, and we're not tasked. We don't have to go in nobody's house and really see what they're doing to say, wait, I can't see. Let me come over your house and look and see what you're watching on TV. And we don't have to do all that. They say, even if it's what's apparent from us that, mashallah, tabarakallah, brother's upright, righteous, he on his deen, right? Then that person can serve. He meets the requirement of the wali. And if it comes out that is other than that, that's a different situation. All right. But only based on what we see, based on what his reputation is and what people know. We're not talking about digging up, no past. He used to be in. We talking about what you see from the man. Tell you, was dhahir in our time? How you find out what person on in our time? Huh? Social media. We do. Who? We go right to the person page. Oh no, I'm cool. They shout out, and that's what y'all understand, sisters. A lot of walis, when you talking about a brother, they go right to his social media. They go right to the brother's social media. They say, "Yo, that look a little crazy," just like that. That's not a good look. I don't think you want to put yourself in that position. No, and then the sister said, "No, I already checked them." No, I'm gonna say it again. You ask the questions that you should ask from from a woman's perspective. And what I'm looking at from a man's perspective, that's not it. No, are you sure? All right, well. Father.
Right now?
Yeah. He said right now. That.
Because I want to
Father, that's cool.
So, in this community world, in the black community, if your family not Muslim, right? Yeah. How do a sister choose the correct wali? Because you might choose somebody it's crazy stories. Can a man choose the wali for her? I heard about it.
We ain't get there yet.
That stuff happens.
We ain't get there yet. We gonna get there.
So my real question is, then how you make that selection? How you sister, you want to get married, but nobody in your family Muslim.
We ain't get there yet.
All right.
It's coming now. I got you. That's coming, inshallah. Tayyib. So those are the 6 conditions that the man has to have a good reputation. Meaning you shouldn't be grabbing a person who's not Islamically sound on what's apparent, what you can see. Everybody sees a brother on the internet doing nothing Islamic. Just because he's been around for 20 years, just because you've been around doesn't mean that they're practicing Islam. Doesn't mean that they're worthy of representing a woman in marriage because you've been around. Okay? And of course, it's only based on what we see. That's enough for us. That's enough for a person to be the wali. Tayyib. Now, the next section, how many was that? Yeah, 7 in detail, 6 on paper, right? 7 in detail, 6 on paper, because the first one has 2. So on paper, it says 6, but the first one has 2. So if you open them all up, it's 7 conditions for the wali. But this is how many conditions for the nikah, for the marriage contract, how many conditions? 3. The third condition is the wali. There has to be a wali. There has to be a wali to marry the woman off. So the first condition of the marriage contract, you got to specify the 2 people getting married, the man and a woman. The second condition, they have to be pleased with who they're going to marry. They know nobody's forcing nobody to marry anybody. The third condition, there has to be a wali to marry the woman off. And now it moves to who should be the wali. Now we know what the wali, the guardian, we know the conditions, the description of them, those 6 or those 7, right? Now, say you got 10 men in the room and all of them meet those 7 conditions, right? You have 10 men in a room, and they all have those 7 conditions. Who is the one who has the most right to be the wali of the woman? That's where we at now. All right. And we'll go through what we go through, and then we'll get to our situation. All right. Because this, what the book is presenting, this is in a ideal situation. Okay. This is in a situation where we wouldn't have to do too much moving around. But again, like I said last week, we don't live in these books. We live in real life. And these books teach us how to live in real life. Okay. So it says, يقدم وجوبا أب. It says the first person, assuming they have all 7 qualities, right? The first person that is obligatory to take that spot is who? Her father. Pay attention, y'all. We said that they meet all the 7 conditions. That means assuming that they're Muslim. Okay. We'll get to the exception when we get there. Let's say her father was Muslim. The first person, meaning her brother wouldn't be able to marry her off before her father. Her father has the most right to marry his daughter off. Not that her brother can't marry her off, y'all. Pay attention. Who has more right? Who's the first one in line? Let's use that. The first one in line is her father. Her father might pass off, though. Her father might pass off. Pass off. Her father. No, her father might pass off the responsibility to somebody, hand off the responsibility. My bad. Tayyib, hand off. That sounds a little better. Tayyib. So the first person in line, they say wujubin. It's obligatory to start with the father, meaning nobody trumps the father. Because sisters come all the time. They come in there and say, I'm trying to get married. Cool. Who's your wali? Such and such, brother such and such. Say, okay. So you don't have no Muslim men in your family? She says, yeah, I got Muslim men in my family. Well, who's Muslim in your family? My dad. Well, if your father's a Muslim, how you trump your dad? How you cut him out the picture and make somebody else your wali? How does that work? Oh, he shot out. He shot out? What does that mean? He's not Salafi. He shot out. He prayed down. What's the name? So that means because he prayed a certain masjid, because he don't call himself Salafi, you trump his whole wilayah, his whole guardianship is trumped. Like Islamically, where do that come from? This is a haq that a father has. It's a right of the father. In order to take somebody's right, y'all, you have to have something Islamically to back it. You have to have something Islamically to back it. Because a person prays somewhere, Islamically, that proves that they're not fit to be a wali. You have to be able to prove that Islamically, right? So they say the first person, wujub, and they say, you got to start with the father. Nobody trumps the father. That's the origin, the original rule. Again, we live by the rule, not by the exception. The rule is that the father is obligatory. He's the first in line. According, he's a Muslim and everything that we already spoke about. They say after the father, who, y'all? La. After the father, sisters, who? Huh? Grandfather? La. Not the grandfather. The uncle? La. That's why the sisters need to be in here. Sisters need to be making sure that you can't be letting brothers grab anybody off the street being your wali real quick. You be jammed. It's only going to take like a month. Huh? La. Huh? La. Huh? Y'all got to use the mic too. Who's after the father? Maybe all we said was the father. It's obligatory to start with the father. Then who after the father? We ain't negate nothing. Oh yeah, they said the grandfather, they said the uncle, they said the son. Nah. Who's second in line? That's the uncle, y'all. That's the uncle, right? Nah, that's even farther. Huh? This is important, y'all. This shows the importance of a wali and the importance of the father. The man. Huh? The man holds a heavy position. And our deen is, alhamdulillah, the man has a position. Huh? They say you got to start with the father. It's obligatory. Wajib, like on the paper. Wujubin. You got to have the paper.
Time out.
Yes.
You gotta make a list. You said 20 people can't do it.
I didn't say 20 people can't do it. I said who's second after the father is what I said. I didn't say that the people y'all said couldn't do it. Who's next in line after the father though?
Would it be the father's son?
La. Pay attention. The next person after the father, should we call him the sheikh now? He ain't got the next person after the father is whoever the father designates. Come on. Right? So, for example, she might have a son of age. He meets all the requirements, but the father puts his friend in front of his son to marry off his daughter.
You asked the wrong question.
Who's second after the father?
You say second, you assume that the father might be dead.
I ain't know. Yeah, that's your assumption. Who's in line second after the father? That's all I said. The father, they say you got to start with the father, according he's Muslim and all that. After that, let's say for example, the father's traveling. He can't be there to do all the homework on the brother like he needs to, right? She has Muslim brothers. She got Muslim uncles, all that. Who's next? The father says, no, listen, even though his sons are Muslim, they have all of that. His father says, nah, Sheikh such and such is going to stand in for me. And now that Sheikh or whoever the brother is that he has stand in becomes who? Becomes who? The wali or the wakil? All right, it don't matter. Just he becomes the wali at that point. All right, now he's taken over, which means he comes before her sons and all of that, her brothers, all of that. Everybody clear? So first is the father, and then is whoever the father puts in charge over everybody else. Clear? Sisters, y'all clear? Somebody said no. Somebody said no. A sister wants to get married, assuming her father is Muslim. She can't just start with her brother because her and her brother are real close. Okay? She has to start with her father. Her father is the first wali.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wait, sit down, yes.
Why wouldn't the person that the father designates be his wakil? Her wakil, but he's a wakil for him because he's her wali.
Forget wakil. Don't even worry about none of that.
Okay.
Don't worry about none of that right now. Don't worry about the terms right now. All you want to know right now is who takes precedence in being the wali. The father is first, and then who's second? Whoever the father designates. Period. Clear? We can get to the terms and all that later. Okay? Is that clear, y'all? Because now we're going to move on to the next people in line. All right? Tayyib. Now, after that, because it's possible the father doesn't designate anybody. But if he designated somebody, that person is next up. Before the grandfathers and the uncles and the brothers and all of that. Clear? That's the haqq of a father. How, sisters? I'm not saying y'all specifically, but how do sisters find it comfortable to cut a man out of his child's life just because y'all didn't make it? Like, because y'all marriage didn't work. Y'all two grown adults couldn't figure it out. And then y'all handicap the kids by not letting other parents see the father see their kids. It's going to be a problem later. Or vice versa. It don't matter if the woman doing it. Usually it's the woman because majority of the time the kids go with the mother. Majority of the time the kids go with the mother. How would you be comfortable? Huh? What you mean? I'm already finished. You ain't even finished, Sheikh. How you understand? Is everybody with me? To show you how important the father is in the household. Okay? Even if a woman gets divorced from her husband and they have children together, the man goes off and get married, she remarries. Her daughter that they have together, she still has a wali. Her wali is her father. Regardless if y'all still married or not. Why? What benefit would it serve for a woman to intentionally keep her children's father out of their life when at the end of the day, Islamically, he's still the wali? You understand the problem? That's the point. Okay? And then, even if he can't make it, whoever he designates is going to be second in line. If he designates somebody. Clear? If he didn't designate anybody, then the next person would be the grandfather. وَجَدٌ لِأَبْ وَإِنْ عَلَى. The grandfather on the father's side. her father's father. And even if her father's father, and they say, well, in Allah, and even if it's her great grandfather, even if she got two greats, it's going to go that way before it goes down. Clear? The wilaya, the guardianship is going to go, if this makes sense, it's going to go up before it goes down. Down meaning to the children, her sons, and it's going to go up. Grandfather, father, grandfather, great great grandfather, great great great. If they were living like that. Tayyib, on the father side, the guardianship comes from the father's side. Okay? Tayyib. After that, let's just assume that none of these people are available. Right? ثم ابن وإن نزل, then the son or the son's son, assuming they meet all the requirements. Everybody clear? So it's going, that's why I said it goes up first. Grandfather's first up, and then it goes down, like the usul, the asl, and then the far. It starts from the, I don't know either. It's cool. It goes up and then it goes down. And then he says, well, hakadha tartib al-miraf. And that's a lot of that, the order is connected to inheritance, who inherits, in the whole chapter inheritance. But y'all get the idea, right? At the end, when we get to the end of the line, it says thumma sultan, then the sultan, which is like the Islamic leader, the Islamic ruler of the country, right? And that's where it stops. So at the end of the day, say she has no Muslim. Now we get to our stuff. A sister doesn't have a Muslim father, no grandfather. She's the only Muslim in her family, right? It's a lot of our situation. She's the only Muslim in her family, and she needs a wali. She wants to get married. There's a bunch of sisters like this, y'all. A bunch of them. Sisters be thinking it's only them. There's plenty of sisters like this. What's supposed to happen? Originally, if we go to the end, it says Thumma Sultan. It says the Islamic ruler of an Islamic country. We're not even in a Muslim country, so we don't have an Islamic ruler. So what replaces that? Huh? The Islamic centers, which for us, in reality, are the masajid, the masjids. Right? She can go to the masjid, and the masjid can be a wali for her. Whatever masjid that the sister goes to, everything that we spoke about what a wali is supposed to do still applies. It ain't like because she went to the masjid, he don't really got to do that much. He could just marry her off. No, everything still applies. So, put the sheikh on the spot. Naeem. Right? Everything still applies. When he does it, he does, mashallah, in my opinion, he does a pretty good job, in my opinion. He's still responsible to do everything that he would do if he was marrying off his own daughter for every sister that comes here and wants to get married. No, I didn't say that. You said that. We said none of those people are. We talking about our situation. I said sisters don't have a Muslim father. They don't have no Muslim relatives. She's the only Muslim in her family. What's supposed to happen? In the Islamic country, they would go where? The sultan, the leader, would stand as a wali for her. We're not in that situation. So what happens in our situation? What's the replacement? The replacement are the Islamic centers. Whether it's a center, a masjid, right? She goes to the masjid. Whoever is the designated person, as we say, to deal with the affairs of the women at that masjid, he's responsible to do all the stuff we spoke about. Defender, protector, all of that, that's his responsibility. It's not like because she goes to a masjid, we could just shortchange him and like, well, she ain't really my daughter, I'm going to just marry her off. Nah, the wilaya, the guardianship is a responsibility that the wali has to stand before Allah Yawm al-Qiyamah with. It's a responsibility. If the wali can't handle the responsibility, then he should do what? He shouldn't take it on. He should not take it. Men, brothers, if you can't handle the responsibility, you shouldn't take it. Clear? Tayyib. What if the masjid doesn't have that service? The masjid doesn't have anybody, doesn't have a wali, or nobody's handling the affairs of the women. What's supposed to happen then? Yeah, use the mic, Sheikh. They can't hear you.
Say what you said.
Put him the mic. They can't hear you.
Like, why I gotta use the mic?
Because they can't hear you. Yes. Further. Sheikh, they can't hear you. Hurry, come on, man. He drawn. According to what? According to the method of Imam Ahmed, rahimahullah, she can choose the woman. Because now, this is the new, I'm not saying this new, but sisters come and they say, why don't you go to the masjid? I don't trust the brothers at the masjid. I've seen stuff them do, whatever the case, I don't trust them. So what's my other option? Well, according to Imam Ahmed, rahimahullah, she can choose a person that she sees, as we say, he's deening. He's upright. He's a practicing Muslim. He's really trying to fear Allah, right? She can choose him to be the wali. Is that the best situation? We're not saying that's the best situation. Can she do that Islamically and get married, though? Would the contract be valid if she went that route? Assuming she didn't have any Muslims in her family, right? Assuming she didn't have any Muslims in her family, Islamically, she's allowed to do that. Clear? Not saying that's the best thing, y'all. We're saying what are the options, first of all. What's the best thing could vary from situation to situation. Everybody clear?
All this has to take place first.
Right. All of that takes place first. So this is assuming she does that, assuming nobody Muslim in her family. She goes to the masjid, for example. Let's start. First, she goes to the masjid or the Islamic center. Nobody at the masjid is doing that. They don't have that situation there. They don't know. Nobody runs the affairs of the women, as we say. Or maybe she went to the masjid and said, I don't really trust them. Right. Yeah, all of the wilayah, right? All of the guardianship we say comes from the father's side, right? Right? From the father's side. Doesn't come from the mother's side. Again, yeah, anybody. So say, for example, because we got, as we say, step brothers and sisters. So the sister has a brother from her, or a half brother. I'm sorry, not a step brother, half brother. A sister has a brother from her mother, right? And she doesn't have a Muslim father. So she says, you know what? This will only really matter if she has a brother from her mother and a brother from her father. She has two brothers. She has a brother from her mother and a brother from her father. Who can be the wali and who can't be the wali? Who can be the wali? The brother from the father. Who can't be the wali? The brother from the mother. Why can't the brother from the mother be the wali? Huh? A sister. Sisters, y'all hear the question? Y'all got the mic? A sister wants to get married. She has two brothers. She has a brother from her father. Right? And then she has another brother from her mother. They don't have the same mom and dad. You with me?
Keep going.
You with me?
Yeah, all right, go ahead, bro. I'm sorry.
You with me?
Fine.
No, if it ain't clear, just tell me it ain't clear.
The only thing I'm saying is that first you're saying on one side that the brother on the mother's side can't be the one.
No. Pay attention. She has two brothers. One is from her father. Clear? All right, one is from her mother. Clear? She wants to get married. In her mind, I got two brothers who can be my wali. Right? That's what she thinks.
Right.
But in reality, who can really stand in as her wali? The one from her father's side. He takes precedence. The one from her brother's side is not a wali for her. Clear? You with me?
Wow.
That's what I'm going to ask you. That's the next question. Why can't the brother from her mother be her wali? You got to say it on the mic. You got the mic out, then you don't want to use it.
Bismillah, it's an inheritance issue. So if the father dies, her brother from her mother won't be able to inherit, but the brother from the father would. So the way the wilayah is set up is based on Islamic inheritance.
Everybody got that? Which is a whole chapter in itself. Hopefully, Akhi's father will do the chapter of inheritance on an introductory tip, because we need to do that. Because this is connected to inheritance, like the order. We said the order before was connected to inheritance, right? Tayyib. So the wilayah comes from the father's side. The guardianship comes from the father's side. Now, let's say she didn't have any of that. She went to the masjid, something happened, she didn't trust them. Can she just choose a person? She can, but sisters, when you do that, you got to understand this. Sisters, it's no way possible you should be letting the brother you get ready to marry choose a wali for you. That makes like From a man's point, y'all, that makes no sense. It happens all the time, but it makes no sense. What's going to happen is he's going to choose a wali for you. The wali that he chooses, that guard, he's supposed to do everything we spoke about. You don't know the man from a can of paint. He don't know you. He come and stand in for you real quick and marry y'all. That's chaos. That ain't going to work. And it usually doesn't. You never let the man, this is just my opinion. I'm not saying you can't. I'm not saying Islamically you can't do it. I'm not saying it's haram. I'm giving you my opinion from what I've seen, my limited experience. If you do that, majority of the times the marriages don't work. He goes and he kicks his cousin to be your wali. So now what happened? When it hit the fan, you call your wali, which is his cousin. One or two things usually happens. I'm not saying it's 100%, y'all. One or two things usually happens. They have a problem. You call your wali, which is his cousin. Now his cousin has to do one or two things. Either he gonna stand on what's true. He got to call his own cousin up and grind him up. And now his cousin is all in his business. And brothers, men don't like all of that. They don't like extra men in their business. So now his cousin is gonna put his relationship with his family in jeopardy for you. Right? Because now he got to call up his cousin and grind his cousin up because his cousin not doing what he's supposed to be doing as a Muslim man, and he's your wali. You see what happens? Even if the cousin said, let's just say, for example, like this. She calls her wali, which is her husband's cousin. Now, in this situation, y'all, in this example, the sister's dead wrong. She's wrong in the situation. But even if she is wrong, she always got in the back of her mind that her wali is just siding with him because that's his cousin. You just saying that because that's your cousin. That's always going to be some doubt in the back of her mind, right? She could be dead wrong, but the fact that that's your cousin, you just saying that because that's your family. You just saying that because that's your man, right? Can she do that? She can. From what I've seen, it's not a wise thing to do. That's always a problem.
All right, so talking about before the marriage, what the responsibilities may be. What's the responsibility or even anything that carries over after marriage, right? I think, like you said, something hit the fan. As her guardian, let's say she picked somebody that's valid. What can he really do?
So after the marriage, Oh, see, that's why I gotta use the mic, man, y'all. Right. He's saying the question is, after the marriage, what is the responsibility of the wali? If he's responsible for all that before she gets married, right? Then what about after the marriage? What is she responsible for? What is he responsible for?
Well, I'm saying, like, what power do you actually carry?
Right, the wali himself.
You just gave her away now, but now it's something like you said,
hit the fan.
What can he do?
What can the wali do? Now, what's going to happen generally when people have problems? What they usually do? Huh? A man and a woman have problems in their marriage. They usually do what? They want to do what? After that, they got to go to the masjid and get some help. Right? They want to get counseling. They go to the masjid and she doesn't even contact her wali. Her wali is still her first line of defense. She's supposed to contact her wali. You can keep that all in-house before you go outside and start bringing a whole masjid into the situation. Where's your wali at? He's your line of defense. He's supposed to be coming into your aid. He's supposed to be the knight in armor. He coming to save the day, firstly. If he can't handle it and he needs extra help outside of y'all, then that's a different case. Then go to the masjid or whoever. It don't have to be the masjid. Go to whoever you feel like can help the situation. Yeah, the wali should be there. Because when sisters come here, our first question is always, who's your wali? Number one, who's your wali and who married y'all? Because y'all didn't get married here. I don't know what's going on. We're not the wali over you. So who's your wali? Such and such. Does he know what's going on? No. So you want us to jump in the middle of your mess and the person that's responsible for you doesn't know what's going on? That's chaos. From a man's point of view, sisters, you got to understand, from a man's point of view, y'all brothers correct me if I'm wrong. From a man's point of view, it's chaos. Why? Let's just say that's a brother's daughter, right? Why is it that everybody, the brothers in the masjid know what's going on in my daughter's marriage and I don't know? How the imam of the masjid and all these people know about my daughter's marriage and her problems and I don't know, and that's my daughter. You understand why it's a problem for a man? So now the wali is upset. The wali is the first line of defense even after marriage. She needs to go back and talk to her wali. This is going on. How should I handle this? That's what he's there for.
All right, I guess my real question is, if he sees fit, can he get...
Yeah, use the mic so they can hear.
All right, let's just say it's my daughter, right?
Uh-huh.
So my daughter get married, and let's say I dropped the ball, whatever. They got married. I ain't understand the situation. You know what I'm saying? Whatever happened. Can they get divorced? Can the wali say, all right, I don't want you to marry my daughter no more? Like I'm saying, what power do you got to change the situation? How do you get your daughter out of something that's...
That depends. That depends. That's not like you walk into somebody's house and say, yo, y'all marriage over from this point. It's not like that. That depends. That's a detailed case-by-case situation. Depends on what's going on. But at the least, who should she be speaking to first? Her wali. Sisters, y'all should understand that. You should not involve a bunch of, especially for men, you shouldn't have a bunch of men involved, and the man that is designated as your guardian doesn't know. He should be your first line. He's the one responsible for you. All the other people you're talking about, they just helping out. They third parties. Your wali is responsible for you. So that would be her option. She, firstly, if the match did, then she can choose a person. Those are her options Islamically. Now he goes in فإن عضل الأقرب أو لم يكن أهلا أو كان مسافرا فوق مسافة القصر زوج حرة أبعد. Now this is the case when, now this is the exception, y'all. This is the exception to the rule. The rule is that it's the father, and then whoever the father designates, and then the grandfather or the great grandfather, and then the son or the son going down, right? All of that, or the right. Say you go through all of that. Let's just say these are the three exceptions that they give, because they say the father is first wujub, and it's obligatory to start with the father. Let's just say, because this is the next issue, and we're going to call this removing the guardianship from a person. Like, how can you take the guardianship away from a father? You with me? How can you take the guardianship away from her father and say, no, he's not my wali anymore. This person's going to be my wali. What gives a woman the authority to do that? Everybody understand the issue? Sisters, y'all with me? That's the next issue. What gives a person the authority for the guardianship to be moved or revoked? It's revoked because he doesn't have to pay. Like, if he gives it away, that's one thing. He's okay with it. I'm going to hand the guardianship to you, such and such. Cool. But what about if it's revoked? It's taken from the father. Like, how do you take guardianship from a father? So you know what? You're no longer the wali. Such and such is the wali. Everybody with me? They mentioned three situations. They say the first one, adal al-aqrab, meaning, let's just start with the father. The father intentionally won't marry his daughter off. He has no decent reason for doing it. He's just trying to prevent her from getting married. The person that came to marry her met all the requirements that he, let's say, for example, just to make it clear, y'all, he gave her a checklist of 10 things. The brother came and met all 10. And as we say, he did what? Moved the goalposts. He put 2 more things on there. Brother meets it, 2 more. He adds 2 more. The father just doesn't want to marry her off. He don't have a reason for doing it. He's just, right? In a case like that, they say, then it could go to the next person after the father, which will be who? The grandfather, or the one the father put in charge. Let's just say the grandfather. Clear? You with me? Further. Right. Yeah, we're going to get to that. Further shit. Oh. Tayyib. I'm sorry.
So the grandfather want to do it, and the father want to give it to somebody else. He can't override that. The grandfather, since he's next in line.
Say it again.
If the father don't do it, then the grandfather next. The grandfather wanted to do it, but the father wanted to appoint somebody. Can the grandfather override that?
It depends. The question, I'm sorry, I didn't use the mic. Say, for example, the father, right, didn't want to marry his daughter off, right? And he passed off the guardianship to a friend of his. His friend might not have a problem marrying the daughter off. So it's no issue, right? It could just be in the father. He don't want to marry his daughter off. So he keep making up stuff to keep his daughter from getting married. Possible. Say he passed it off to somebody. He passed it to whoever he passed it to, and they married her off. It's done. But the same thing would apply to the person he put in charge. If the person he put in charge keeps moving the goalposts, same thing applies to him. You understand? To intentionally not marry a person off is one of the times when, and it's not automatic, y'all. It's not an automatic, or he ain't doing it right next. It's not like that.
Even when he passed it off,
Yeah.
When he passed it off, who he passed it to, the grandfather wanted to do it.
No,
He-
he doesn't
he-
supersede the father. He doesn't supersede the father. He doesn't supersede who the father put in place. Right? Now, the father might have put, let's just say the father put Ahmed in place. So the father doesn't want to marry her off. So it's like, man, it's looking like we're going to have to skip the father. The father passes it off to Ahmed. Ahmed marries her off. Khalas, done deal. Now say Ahmed does the same thing. Well, Ahmed falls under the same thing. If he intentionally doesn't marry a woman off, in that case, the wilaya can be moved to the next person, but it's not sisters. It's not like you wake up tomorrow and you be like, no, my pop, he ain't doing what he got to do. I'm going to just have such and such do it. It doesn't work like that. And you have to, every situation, these are general rules, y'all. This is like your situation. You can't take it general because like I said before, sisters come in and say, well, why? By saying something just general like he shot out. So what you mean he shot out? So my question, we usually ask him what? He shot out. What you mean? Like, does he pray? Yes, he prays. So your father's a praying Muslim. Yes. But he shot out. What's shot out about him? He don't really be on it. That's the answer. Like, you willing to put yourself in a marriage contract that could be invalid by you skipping the wilaya of this man, your father, based on he don't be on it. What is that's not Islamically? You have to be able to stand on something, and that's why every situation varies. I can't sit here and tell you just what's the situation with your father before you skip the people who have the right to be the guardian. I hope that's clear. That's the first thing. Let's say that the wali is intentionally doesn't want to marry the sister woman off. Then in that case, it's possible to move to the next person in line. Or, lam yakun ahlan. The wali is not ahlan. Yeah, ahlan. Lam yakun ahlan. He is the wali, but this is when we skip him. Why would we skip him? He's not in a proper situation to be the wali at this time. Right? So say he meets all the requirements. He has all 7. He's not trying to not marry her off. But at this point, and this happens, y'all, this happens. Let's just say the wali strung out on drugs. Yeah. Qad yakun. Mumkin. And that's maybe it's possible. I'm giving you an example to make you see what level does it go to before you skip a person. Say he's strung out on drugs. He might be in a real bad, y'all. That's a look. Now we got to look and see. And even if that's the case, we never, no, he done. Let's just do it. We don't, no. Even with that, can you call him? Can you contact? Does he answer the phone? Yeah, he answered the phone. Call him up. Let's talk to him. Why? Because the marriage contract is going to make the woman who's originally haram for the man, is going to make her halal for him now. And it's going to make the man who's originally haram for her, it's going to make him halal for her. So you want to cover all bases. Be sure. Call him, get him on the phone. Listen, he in a bad state. Well, at the least, have him pass the wilaya off to somebody else. Have him pass the guardianship off to somebody else just to be safe. Everybody with me? Let's just say that was the case. He's not in a position right now in his life to be a wali. And that could vary. I'm just using drugs for an example. That's the second one. The first one was he intentionally doesn't marry her off just not to marry her off. No real valid reason. He just keep moving the goalposts, as we say. And the second one is that he's not in a position right now in his life to be a wali over anybody, a guardian over anybody. They say the third one, kana musafiran, or he's traveling. He's a traveler. He's far away. And as they say, because you got to understand when these books were written, they say in the explanation of this text, he's traveled far away to the point where he's shortening the salats and stuff like that, and he can't be reached. You don't skip a man, you don't skip over your father as a wali because he's traveling. You can call him, you can get him on FaceTime, right? We got ways to get in touch with him. Whereas before it was a point a person might travel for 6 months at a time with no contact back home. You understand the difference? We travel now, and it don't even seem like we travel. We talking to family every day, all day if we need to, right? Looking at them, video, everything. So they say You skip them if the case is where there was no contact. Not if you can contact them. If you can contact them, then what you supposed to do? You contact them. Now, if he decides, you might contact him. He might say, well, listen, no, don't do anything. I'll be back next week. And that's what you do. You wait till next week. It's his haq. That's his right as the wali. Or he might say, well, listen, just have such and such marry you. I spoke to the brother enough times. I thought I would be back by Monday. I won't be back till next Monday. You want to get married tomorrow? She says, yes. We were planning on getting married tomorrow because this is another thing. We had all the hotel and everything set up. Like, we got something to do with that. We don't have nothing to do with that, right? We had everything set up. You didn't have everything set up because it's a problem. He might say, okay, well, listen, have such and such. He can marry you off. But that's the wali's call. Now, it's different if there was no contact for 3, 4, 6 months at a time. That's a different situation. Our situation, a person travels, we can contact them. So a person should contact them. But those are the 3 times to say when you can, like, the wali can be skipped to the next person. Clear? Is that too much? I think that might be. Is that too much, sisters? That's enough?
I got a question for that.
Dang, 117. Further. I think we'll save number 4 for next week, inshallah, which is the witnesses for the marriage is the 4th. The witnesses for the marriage is the 4th condition for the marriage contract to be valid. But we won't do that tonight. Further.
My bad, I missed it. But so if the father, let's just say, who's qualified to say that the father got to step up to them?
Mumtaz, Jayid. Who's qualified to say that the father is not qualified? Who's qualified to say that the father is not in a position at this point to be the wali? Anybody? What y'all think? Yes,
No, I'm saying, who gonna tell me I can't marry my daughter off? Because the whole moving the goalpost thing, so what? You know what I'm saying?
No, it's not so what.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that you want to marry my daughter,
Pay attention,
right?
pay attention. It's not
Okay.
so what because it's so what if you have a valid reason for it to be so what.
Okay.
If you don't have a valid, we talking about people, you talking about a man who doesn't have a valid reason. We're not talking, sisters, pay attention. We're not talking about a father who's doing the homework on a brother and you're rushing him to hurry up and do his homework. We're not talking about that. We talking about the example, the father says, you know what? I got these 10 things. Any man come in here, he got to meet these 10. It took her like 1.5 years to find somebody to meet them 10. He come with 10. He said, you know what? I got 2 more. Matter of fact, put them on there. Now, if they realistic things, and this is why none of this stuff is like black and white. It got to be, you can't just take this in the book and run off. You got to sit down with people. You have to make, as we say, shorter. You have to get more than one person involved. Get what does that look like? Is this a valid reason? Because a sister might think it's not a valid reason. Right, sister? A sister might think, the woman might think that's not a valid question to ask a man. But you don't know the questions that men ask men. So now if you ask 10 men, they might all say, yeah, you got to ask that. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not just a one person thing. I didn't mean to make it like that. But nothing generally is cut and dry, black and white like that. Stuff is going to depend on the situation. So it wouldn't be one person. If I was you, I wouldn't take one person. Oh no, he's not qualified to be a wali. No, you should go to whatever place you trust, get more than one opinion, right? You got to be honest and just, y'all. You can't, because we can all squeeze things to make it fit when we're trying to do something. And if you do that, you're going to suffer the consequences. You get people who you trust to be upright, good people, that you know they're not going to be biased and just give you what you want. Try to get somebody that you know is going to tell the truth. Get more than one opinion. Search around. You talking about a contract. If the contract not valid, if we do things and the contract is not valid, we just put ourselves in a position of a doubtful marriage. We get married to try to stay from zina. We get married to try to protect ourselves from disobeying the law. Do stuff right. Don't try to cut a corner and then end up putting ourselves in the same position or something that's even doubtful. So I wouldn't say it's one person that would be able to determine. I would say it will be a group effort. Like a lot of things will be a group effort. A lot of these issues, they say a person will have to go to the Muslim judge, the hakim. We don't have judges here, so we have to use what we have. Islam is not restricted to Muslim countries that have Muslim court systems set up. Islam could be practiced anywhere. So if we don't have a Muslim judge, then where are we going to go? We're gonna go to the masjid. Go somewhere you trust. You see these people to be good, decent, wholesome, upright Muslims trying to practice Islam, and then go from there. Allah knows what.
Assalamu alaikum.
Fadal. Alaikum salam to barakatuh.
I understand the situation that it would be wise if your father is not Muslim to include him into your affairs regarding marriage.
Yes.
But I have a cousin who's basically next in line outside the masjid. That's my wali. Is there anything that my father would have to do to appoint him per se, or how would that work?
That's a good question. He doesn't have to do anything to appoint him. He doesn't have to do anything to appoint him. But the issue of the cousin is a issue that we deal with a lot also. So the number one, the father doesn't have to appoint him. The non-Muslim father doesn't have to appoint him. And we're not talking about non-Muslims being involved in Islamic rulings and them applying anything. No, we're just talking about them just being aware of what's going on. They just know what's going on. That's all. They know that there's a marriage taking this place. This is how we do things in Islam. And for real, y'all, we should have these conversations before, you know what I'm saying, the middle. And it's better to have them ahead of time than in the middle of everything, when everything is going on. The cousin is, let me ask y'all a question. Number one, is the cousin from the people who can be a wali for a woman? On the mother or the father side?
Oh yeah, he's on my mother's side.
Okay. So can he be a wali for you? Originally?
Originally, no, but
Okay. Stop right there. Originally, no. That's all we want to know. Originally, no. Originally, because we want to deal with the original issue first, and then we move from there. Why can't the cousin be a wali? You can marry your cousin. Islamically, you can marry your cousin. Tayyib. Also, he's from the mother's side. When? You got to talk on the mic. You pulled the mic. Allah alam. I ain't get there yet. The cousin, I'm not saying the cousin. I'm talking about originally, right? I'm talking about originally. Aslan, the cousin's not a wali. Tayyib. Let's be specific. The cousin on the mother's side. Tayyib. Like, originally, the cousin is not on the mother's side, is not a wali. That doesn't mean there's no situation ever where he couldn't be the wali, though. Okay? Doesn't mean he can never be the wali. But we got to live by the original rules first and then use the exceptions as they come. Okay. He want to give everybody the mic. He knows
So my question is, everything you laid out is for the paternal side, for the father, right?
Yes.
So something that is, in our communities that is heavy. Say a father, say a child of a bed, right?
I'm with you.
Does he fall to the bottom of all that stuff and do the rights go to the maternal side before him? Like, say if he knows, like, say if it's not known in the community what happened or whatever, but he knows in his mind, like, this is my child out of the bed or whatever, right? Mm. Where does he fall in line with
the father?
Yes. Where does he fall in line with this stuff?
What you mean, child of the bed? When you say child of the bed, what you mean?
Child out of wedlock, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Child of the bed that's a
out of marriage. We
okay.
just want
a child outside of marriage. He has a child outside of marriage, and now that daughter that he had outside of marriage wants to get married.
Yeah, and he's involved. Like I said, he knows. The community may not know or whatever, but right. He knows like what it is at the end of the day. Okay. He's involved with her. Like, does he fall to the bottom of the chain, and does rights go to the mother side, men first before him? Like, where does he fall?
I don't ever know if the rights going to the mother's side. Number one. Number two, it's a couple ways to deal with that. I don't know. Number one, to say they automatically go to all of the mother side, I don't know anything saying that. Can he be involved? That's another issue. Can somebody else go before him? That's another issue. Right? Huh? Can somebody go before him? Fadla, yeah.
I just want to add something to this, right?
Okay.
So in a case like this, right? Remember what he said, that if we went through the whole thing of the we lie on the father's side, correct? We just did that. Now, remember he said about the sister that doesn't have any Muslim family members. So in a case like this, if the father is a father out from Zina, for example, he was in her life and raised her, what's the difference between her picking somebody that's not her family to represent her as a wali, as opposed to picking her own father, even though she was born through Zina and he raised her and he was a part of her life? Who would be the best person to look out for her needs in that case? All right.
Everybody
So
get
now,
that?
why wouldn't he be able to be a wali? Fahmt?
You get that?
Did that make sense?
Does that make sense? Even though she was born out of wedlock, they weren't married, right? The father raised her, right? What's the difference? She's gonna go get a stranger anyway to be her wali. Why wouldn't she have her like her father? That's still her blood. That's blood. He still takes, like, he can't marry her. Like, it ain't like, no, it was out of Zina, don't count. No, some Islamic things don't apply. Cool, but you gonna go get a total stranger over the man that raised you all your life? You understand? We got to start looking. We got to change. We got to change so that it fix it.
I'm saying we don't. I'm not saying like that you don't look at the Islamic ruling. I'm just saying this Philly, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't.
Well, that's the problem. It's Philly.
No, I'm just saying.
No,
if I
I'm
got a
with
daughter
you.
out of Zinad, that's my daughter.
No doubt.
They'll still fight over her, so it's not
No
like
doubt. That's the point.
nobody. And this is my question before. Is nobody in this world going to tell me who married my daughter beside me? Nothing y'all could do about that. So I don't know. I don't see this. I understand it to a degree, but if I say it's 10 things he got to have, that's just so I can meet him. Now it's 40 more things.
All
So
that's
I'm
that's
saying is
cool. All that's
that
cool.
it
As
gotta
long
be
as,
a level of protection.
no doubt, as long as the man who's marrying the woman off knows. If the man is intentionally, and this the issue. If we was in a Muslim country in a perfect situation, you go to a judge. The judge gonna make a ruling whether you like it or not. So if we're not in that case, we're in America and we doing what we doing. If a person don't want a fair law, cool. Take your daughter, go whatever you want to do and do with her. That's fine. Not you. I'm just saying. If a man don't want to, right? He know he doing that, and that's what he doing. The people at the masjid trying to help, and he still want to do it. It's cool. You go take. It's your daughter. At the end of the day, these are your kids. You do whatever you want. The Muslims just trying to help. If you're in a Muslim country and the man did that, they go to the court. The court is going to make a decision whether the father likes it or not. What did he do? The judge is going to make a decision whether the father likes it or not. We don't have that. So what do? We go to the masjid and we assume when the people come, we assume people want help. All we can do is help. If they don't want the help from the masjid, that's fine too. You see what I'm saying? Because a man, like you said, he might say, man, nobody's marrying my daughter except me. If that's what I'm doing. Cool, that's fine. But he has to deal with that before Allah. Yes, but by his intentions. All the people know at the match is what's apparent. Right. So they're gonna talk. They're gonna talk to the brother. Listen, it look like you're doing this. He's gonna say no. He might say, listen, I added 2 more things because this happened. Right. Oh, all right, that makes sense. He need to get 2 more things. Right. It's a discussion. And at the end of the day, if they don't mean anything, at the end of the day, if that's what you want to do with your daughter, you know what I'm saying? No doubt. That's why we gotta have these conversations to make it real. It gotta be real. Everybody's accountable. The men is accountable and the women is accountable. Everybody's accountable for something.
I only mentioned that because unfortunately, like in our communities, somebody quick to tell you you don't have rights over that without giving you like the hikmah or understanding the situation. They quick to tell you don't have rights over the child, and without clear understanding, somebody might just thought like, "Man, I don't got rights. I can't do." You get what I'm saying? That's the only reason I mentioned that.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, everybody has to everybody has to fear Allah. I'm saying this because a lot of times, most of our situations is that the children are with the sisters or with the women. The woman gets remarried. Now it's an issue of child custody. Should the child come with me or not? She wants to get married. Well, you don't have no rights over him. The state father, like, we got to fear Allah. We have to fear Allah. This is deen. This is not the street. These ahkam, and it's not the street. This is deen. You doing what's best for the children. Y'all didn't work. That's on y'all. Y'all grown adults. Y'all couldn't work it out. That's on y'all. You got children coming after y'all responsible for. To bring y'all we are responsible for the best upbringing before Allah Ta'ala, Yawm al-Qiyamah. We're responsible for how we raise our children on the Day of Judgment. If we intentionally cut a parent out of the child's life with the intent of harming the father or harming the mother, intentionally, that was the intent. We don't think we got to deal with that Yom Kippur. We don't think that's a bad deed. We don't think that's a sin to intentionally handicap a child by having them grow up without the other parent. We don't see no problem with that. Like you said, that's the problem. It's Philly. Everything slide with us. We act like we scared to call a spade a spade. We act like that's cool. That's cool for you. You willing to split your family? You willing to split your family? Y'all got kids. You willing to split your family up because the man goes and marries another woman? Is it worth splitting a family? Now the children are handicapped. They grow up with a one without the other parent. Is it worth that? We got to be honest, because that's what happens. Is it worth it? It got to be worth it. They decisions that we need to talk about. Is it worth it? Then when they come back to bite, because a lot of times, we get ready to stop unless the sisters got questions. A lot of times, it's all fun while the kids is when little boys are 2 and 3. You can dress them up and all that. Then they get 15 and they start talking back. Then they're not controlled, and you done cut the pop out their life for the past 7 years. He's out of control. We wonder why all these kids on the street killing each other. Where their fathers at? If you ask them where their fathers at, a lot of them don't know. Not that they dead. Fathers are not dead. Fathers right here in the city. But what happens? The mother and the father can't come to terms to be mature enough. As Muslims or Muslim man, they can't come to terms to be mature enough to raise their children Islamically and do what's best for the kids, even though they're not together. That's a problem we got to deal with. And we should not, none of us shouldn't think we're not going to be held before Allah Yom Qiyamah. Responsible. We responsible. Everybody's responsible. Y'all brought them kids in this world together. Y'all responsible for giving them the best upbringing. All of us are responsible for doing it together. If y'all don't make it, that don't mean because she leaves that now, well, since she left, I'm not going to let her see the kids. What sense do that make? Why would a person not want their daughter or their son to see their mother? Like, what sense does that make? Or why would a woman not want their children to see their father, Muslim, even though he ain't all the way right? She's not all the way right. She is Muslim. Even if she's not Muslim, that is their mother. She birthed them. It is their father. You laid down with them. You married them, laid down with them, had a baby together. Why would you not want your children to see the other person? That's an issue we got to deal with. Allah musta'an. May Allah forgive us and make us better than we are and make us more serious about our deen and these ahkam, because everything we do, like we said in the first class, everything has a hukum connected to it. Everything that we do has a ruling connected to it. And we want to be on the up and up. We want to be on the recommended and the halal side. We don't want to be on the anything that's being from disobedience to Allah. We'll stop. Unless the sisters got any questions, we'll stop there, inshallah. Fadlan.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
So this is more or less like a piece of advice. What would you tell a sister who dealing with the Walis? You know, I come from Delaware, so down there it's nobody that's really doing the job. You get a brother in Philly, you try to a Wali in Philly, you try to get with them, it's hard. They don't know who you are when you text them, and it's a lot going on. But at the same time, it's almost logic for the sister to get married, as you spoke on last week. So
I would ask firstly, is the sister part of any community?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so even the community she's a part of won't marry her off?
It's not that, it's that there's nobody that's down there that's doing it.
Oh, it's nobody designated to do it.
Yeah.
They don't have any recommendations?
Nah. The brother that was doing it, he kind of just fell back because he said there's nobody to really vouch for. So
Nobody vouch for who?
nobody, like, as far as getting married, no decent brothers really that he knows. Per se.
Mashallah. I hope the sisters heard, and I hope the sisters heard that. She said there's no decent brothers. And this is the issue we dealing with. It could be a decent brother he already married, but we done made plural marriage so we done made it so big of a so negative. Nobody wants to marry somebody that's married already.
No, and that's actually the preference too for me, because
You see where it's going? Oh, the sisters will tell you it's not too many good men.
Yeah.
So what we going to do? Just not be married? Like, nah, we not robots. But now when we talk about marrying, oh yeah, he's already married. Oh no, I'm good. Well, you ain't been married for how many years? Is he a good man? He meet all the checks? Why not? Right? That's an issue. Allah help us. At least for the sister who needs the wali. At the least. So let's say she has no options for the masters, anything. At the least, she doesn't know any upright, decent Muslim brothers that's willing to take on her situation.
No, this our community's small. So
I'm not gonna put.
everybody kind of knows everybody, but who knows?
Sometimes I'm not saying it's you, sister. I'm just saying. Say for example, a sister in Delaware, she might have to go somewhere that's comfortable, that's not immediately in her locale.
Yeah, that's why I'm up here.
Oh, well, you gotta talk to the brother for that. You gotta talk to the brother after the class for that. Inshallah, he over there. Inshallah. We'll stop there. Inshallah, we'll come back to that issue next week. Everybody needs to bring Minhaj al-Salikin, the path of the wayfarer. The class tomorrow. Oh, tomorrow after Maghrib, Mufti is doing the Sira class. Tomorrow at 6:30 after Maghrib, the Sira class with Mufti will continue, inshallah. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam.